I
Yay!
made it with 3 seconds to spare. Can you believe it?
Hi, Glenn.
Yes, it's still the top of the hour. Good morning and good afternoon, good evening. Nice to see you all. It is the John Lavenia Success Mastermind for your Thursday, April 21st, 2022. And this is a very important day for several good reasons, one of which I'll get into in just a moment. As I said, I'm your guy. And let's go over here and have a look and see if we can do our usual housekeeping and kind of let you know what's coming up and what is to be expected on the calendar for today. On the calendar, well, it's me right now, and hospitality suite after this. A little bit of a light day. Our good friend John Lavenia is traveling as we speak. I imagine he may have something nice to say about the place he's going once he gets back. So there's that. So and that also compels me to wonder about tomorrow evening's session. 6 p.m. Eastern. We always have Be Heard with our friend John, and you jump on and have a chat and say whatever is on your mind, speak whatever is on your mind, and well, somebody's going to be there. Someone will be heard, so that's good news. Nice to see you, Allison. Been a minute. There you go. Hello, Kat and Linda, and of course the Money Mama is here as always. Lindsay couldn't make it yesterday, but you are here now. Glad to be hosting. We coordinate today, which is great. Today is an important day for a couple of reasons. Number one, we are here sharing some time with each other, and I am observing a rather solemn anniversary today. It's April 21st. Let me see if I can just share something with you very quickly on my screen. How's about this? Let's see if I can bring it up quickly. Yes. So today is I thought about this yesterday and was thinking about it as well today. Today is the 6th anniversary of the passing of the greatest musical genius the world will ever know. And I remember exactly where I was. Everybody has that thing that happened in your life. Where were you when such and such happened, or where were you, on 9/11 and all sorts of things, September 11th? Where were you at this, that, and the other time? I can tell you exactly where I was when I heard that Prince had passed. I was at home doing some work online, as I tend to do. Paula called me. She doesn't normally call me during the day. Normally I get a text. But this day she called me on the phone. She was at her office. And she called me and she said, honey, have you heard? Heard what? I'm working. What's going on? She said, Prince died. And for the first and only time in the 11 years since Paula and I met, I hung up on her. I did. And I went and locked the front door of our house, closed all the windows, drew all the blinds, with all the shades and blinds and drapes and everything, completely closed off the house. And I turned on the TV on my where I have my stuff recorded, movies and TV shows and whatnot, and I commenced an all-day 3-part Prince Film Festival. Well, it wasn't much of a festival on that day, as you can imagine. Did you know that Prince actually made 3 movies? Didn't know that, did you? Most people don't. Everybody knows. Well, lots of people know the movie for which he is most well known, Purple Rain. Everybody knows. See, as a matter of fact, most people, when you say Prince, first thing they think of is Purple Rain. What's interesting, to handle this, the trivia question, the three films that Prince made were Purple Rain, 1984, and then 2 years later, 1986, he made a film which was essentially a sequel to Purple Rain called Graffiti Bridge. Really interesting picture. And he plays, in that second picture, he actually plays essentially the same role as he played in Purple Rain, a character called the Kid. The third film was made a couple of years after that, starred one of his co-stars from Purple Rain and Graffiti Bridge, a man named Jerome Benton, and the English actress Kristen Scott Thomas. That's a name that may ring a bell with you, Ali. Hey, Virginia. Nice to see you. Surprised to see me today, hey? So anyway, that third film is called Under the Cherry Moon. It was filmed entirely in the south of France and entirely filmed on location in the south of France, and it was filmed entirely in black and white. Yet another interesting fact about Prince that most people don't know. Most people also don't know that Purple Rain was, believe it or not, only a very small part of Prince's total artistic vision. He wrote, and performed, as you probably know, the very first album that he recorded, called self-named, eponymous, as they say, Prince. He wrote all the songs, played all the instruments, and recorded it himself. Yes, Lindsay, the three films are Purple Rain, Graffiti Bridge, and Under the Cherry Moon. The three films that Prince made in his life. So Prince was a prodigious, from the original word prodigy. Prince was a prodigious musical genius. And see, Purple Rain was recorded, that film and the album was made in 1984. And Prince continued to make music until his passing in 2016. So there were hundreds, thousands of songs and multiple albums and concerts and everything that he did. He wrote and performed some of the funkiest funk you've ever heard in your life. Some of the most sophisticated jazz you've ever heard in your life. He discovered and founded multiple bands, including The Time, Apollonia 6, and an all-female hard rock band called Third Eye Girl. Ever heard of that? Didn't think so. So there are so many things, and in fact, during the second half of Prince's professional career, artistic career, he got so funky and so hardcore into R&B and soul, he essentially transformed himself into the second coming of James Brown. Didn't know that either, did ya? Everybody knows Purple Rain, that album. Some people know another album of his called Controversy, which was recorded very early in his career, I believe 1982, before Purple Rain. And a lot of people know his album called 1999, right? So these are the things that people know about Prince. Did you know that he also recorded a mind-blowing 3 CD live album called One Night Alone? If you can find it, get it. It's hard to find. Hit me up. I might know where you can find it. One. And people know Purple Rain. They know 1999. Maybe they know Controversy. Maybe they know Raspberry Beret and the things. What I consider the Prince album that I consider to be his magnum opus, his greatest work, is a 4 CD set called Crystal Ball. Now this one you must have. Crystal Ball. There are live performances on there. There are studio performances on there. There is one song on that album called Chlorine Bacon Skin. What the hell? Yeah, Chlorine Bacon Skin. The song is 15 minutes long. Boy, you thought Stairway to Heaven was something? Bohemian Rhapsody? Chlorine Bacon Skin. Just talking about the length of the song. And there's one tune on that album called Don't Play Me. It's such a simple, raw, unedited piece of music, but it might be, in some ways, the best song on the whole 40 CD set. Don't Play Me consists of Prince, a microphone, and a guitar. So, Crystal Ball. If you want to get, let's say, 3 or 4 albums to kind of give you a more complete picture of Prince's total oeuvre, here's what you want to get. You want to get Purple Rain, obviously. The music that made him a legend. You want to get One Night Alone. You want to get Crystal Ball. Yeah, you can get 1999 if you like. It's great stuff. And then one of his last albums called 3121. 3121. It's got a song on there called Get on the Boat. Wow. If you're listening to 3121 and you're not up dancing, some part of your body moving, is something wrong with you. I'm just saying. Why am I sharing all this with you about Prince? Well, because Prince is, in my opinion, the greatest musical genius the world will ever know. You know, some people used to say, I've heard people say, oh yeah, Prince was the Mozart of his time. Mozart was the Prince of his generation. That's one man's opinion. You'll need to listen to some more Prince to form your own. Here's why I've thought of this today, observing the day, and also the impact that Prince had on music, popular music, jazz, rock, soul, funk, R&B, popular culture, fashion. The single greatest Super Bowl halftime show ever, Prince. You can fact check me on that one. Prince's music is unfamiliar to many people because all they know is Purple Rain. And also because although a number of Prince's songs made the pop charts, I don't believe that that's why he wrote what he wrote. I don't believe that's why he created the styles that he did, the music styles that he did. There's a saying, I don't know, it's been attributed to several people, several famous persons, including Bill Cosby, Frank Langella, I think even Mark Twain. Most recently, I've heard it attributed to the actor Frank Langella. The saying is, I can't give you a recipe for success, but I can give you a recipe for failure. Trying to please everybody. One of the things that appealed to me so very much about Prince, what appeals to me about his music, is that he made no attempt to be all things to all people. He made no attempt to snare the teeny boppers. He made no attempt to shoot up the pop charts. He made no attempt to be popular, to be the darling of the bubblegum set. None at all. He wrote what he wrote because of his own vision, and he performed the way he did because of his own vision. I'll tell you two stories that I've heard about Prince. One, there was a gentleman who met Prince many, many years ago, in fact, early on in Prince's career, who has now gone on to a very successful career as a Prince, I don't want to say impersonator, but a Prince tribute performer. He looks very much like Prince did from his early days. And he travels with a band, and I had the privilege of seeing the band a couple of years ago. And he tells a story about when he first met Prince. I think it was in the early 90s or something that they met. And he says, the guy, how you doing? It's such an honor to meet you. Did Prince come back and say, well, it's an honor to meet you too? It was good. No. You know what Prince said? He said to the guy, looked him right in the eyes, and he said, do you lie? What? Do you lie? Well, I don't think so. I'm telling you about myself, and do you lie? No, I don't lie. Good. About 10 years later, this guy had the opportunity to sing backup vocals on a Prince record. One of the songs on the record was called Do You Lie? Where the hell did that come from? Where did that thought come from for Prince to ask him that question? I mean, obviously, I think it was a double entendre. Are you an honest person is the obvious meaning. Do you lie? I also think that Prince was dropping a hint. There's something coming. This is just the kind of person he was. Something else. Here's another really fun story, really interesting. On that album I was telling you about, the 3 CD live set, One Night Alone, there's a segment on one of the songs, like a vamp, sort of between songs when Prince is kind of talking with the audience and stuff. And he does this really crazy thing with a fan, somebody who's sitting in the front row at his show. I mean, imagine the privilege, being able to sit in the front row at a Prince concert, at a Prince performance. I'll tell you something about that in a minute. So anyway, they're doing this thing, and they're kind of vamping, and the band just kind of jamming behind them. And Prince goes up to somebody in the front row and brings her up on stage and says, actually, he didn't bring her up on stage. She's sitting in the front row. He goes up to her and he says, I want to ask you a question. Do you believe it's better to give or to receive? What? Yeah. Do you believe it's better to give or to receive? And the young lady says, well, the obvious answer, right? It's better to give than to receive. She says, do you believe it's better to give than to receive? She says, oh, yes, absolutely. It's better to give than receive. He says, good. Give up your front row seat to the lady in the back row. What are you going to do? You're going to stand in the middle of an arena full of 20,000 people and tell Prince no? So she gave up her seat. Brought a person from way up in the nosebleeds to come down in the front row. And she's standing there, shell-shocked. I just gave up. I just fell for the joke. I fell for the trick. I gave up my seat. And Prince kind of looks at her and gives her a little smile, takes her by the hand, brings her up on stage to sit on stage with the band for the rest of the show. Holy moly. Isn't that an amazing story? Here's something even more amazing. You know, as big a fan as I am of Prince, in all of my life, I never got to see him perform live. And the reason is truly bizarre. The reason is that every time Prince was playing a show in a city where I was living, I had a gig the same night. And now I don't cancel gigs. Never did. And so it got to the point where I said, damn it, I don't care what's going on. I don't care if somebody's paying me $1 million. If Prince is playing someplace and I've got a gig, I'm canceling it and I'm going to see Prince. This was I said that shortly before he died. So I never got to see Prince live. He was famous for this thing that he would do whenever he would do a live show. He would go and play a show, the announced show, the published show at the arena or at the stadium or wherever it was. And he would play, a 2-hour show or whatever it was. Amazing, amazing show. And then after the show was over, the main concert was over, he would go and find a jazz club or a blues or nightclub someplace where the joint was kind of jumping already, and he would just kind of walk in with his band and give the people an after show. No charge. He would just show up someplace and give the assembled crowd an after show. And he'd play for another hour and a half. For nothing. Complete surprise. Just walk in and start jamming. Why? Why would he do that? Well, a lot of reasons for that. Yes, obviously there are marketing opportunities. Yeah, it's a really cool thing for Prince to do. Oh, is Prince the greatest? You really think that's why he did it? I think he did it because he was a musician. Because he just loved to play. And he just loved to entertain people. And he didn't really care. One thing you know clearly about Prince is that he really did not care at all what other people thought of him. What other people thought of his music, his vision, his beliefs and his stands when it came to music ownership and the rights of musicians to own their own work. Prince was one of the very first major artists to buy back or to refuse to sell his entire library to a major record label. He wouldn't do it. There was one point where he found himself kind of stuck in a contract with a major record label. And so for a considerable amount of time, he walked during that contract where they essentially owned the rights to some of his music. You may have heard he walked around with a temporary tattoo on his cheek. Single word, slave. Remember during those days, like the artist formerly known as Prince? Remember that? There are some people who still refer to him that way. He was, for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, the artist formerly known as Prince. Then he got all his music back, and the tattoo came off his cheek, and he was Prince once again. So, saying all of this to say, I firmly believe that part of the reason why Prince made such an enormous impact and continues to make such an enormous impact on music and pop culture and society and the music business is because he didn't care at all about other people's opinions in what he did, in the work that he did, in the music that he created, the thing that he created. Now, the question for all of us is, how much do we care about what other people think? I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm not accusing or looking at anybody here. How much do I care? How strongly are my decisions influenced by the opinions of others? I think in Prince, in the life and the work of Prince, we have a shining example of someone who cared not at all for the opinions of others and did his own thing, followed his own muse, created his own artistic vision, and then brought that vision to reality, and in so doing, changed the world. So, to wrap it up, again, I don't know the recipe for success. Let's call it Frank Langella. I don't know the recipe for success, but I can give you the recipe for failure, and that is trying to please everyone. What is your vision? Honestly, I don't really need to know. I don't mind what your vision is. You know. Do you know? What is it that makes you unique? What is it that you alone can bring to your world? And more to the point, have you been stopped or perhaps discouraged from carrying out your vision because of the influence of the opinions of others? It's a fairly sobering question to consider. And it always reminds me of another saying that I heard recently, which was, I used to worry about what other people thought of me until one day I tried to go to the bank and pay my bills with their opinions. I'm going to repeat that in case you wanted to jot it down. I used to worry about what other people thought of me until one day I tried to pay my bills with their opinions. Find your focus, find your vision, focus on it. Focus your entire life on your vision. The people who truly care about you will support you and help you in any way they can to carry out your vision. And by reverse, the people who don't support you, the people who don't help you, or at least the people who don't get out of your way as you carry out your vision, well, then you'll know a little something about them, won't you? Don't know the recipe for success, but I know the recipe for failure. And that is trying to please everyone. Maybe take a few minutes to think about our vision today. Take a few minutes today to think about our vision. Mine becomes clearer with every passing day. How about yours? Love to hear what you think. Pop your hand up. Jump in. Drop an opinion. Allie, it's so nice to talk with you. It's been a minute.
Thanks, Glenn. I didn't know so much about that with Prince. You're so right. The Purple Rain is just kind of umbrellas everything, doesn't it, for Prince and for most people. So I'm definitely going to go and have a listen to some of his albums. And I absolutely was so guilty in my life about worrying about what other people think. And that's just been such a resistance to moving forward and doing the things that I really, really want. And over the last couple of years, I've really let go of that. And there's been such a sense of freedom. I think it's in every walk of life, but I think in performance particularly, I think you can be really, because you're putting yourself out there, there's a particular vulnerability and the kind of misguided need to be liked. And I think, well, I mean, I certainly have done some performing last year with this new, fresh attitude, and it just absolutely made such a difference to the way I performed, the way I dealt with everything before, during, and after as well. Not racking out. Did I do all right? Did I do this? And what did I think? Well, afterwards as well, which can really rack performance. So yeah, no, brilliant message today, Glenn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali, and you are so right. I from time to time, I actually was affected by that as well. Post-performance opinions, post-concert opinions, for me, until, because I used to really, I would tell people, I don't get nervous before the performances. I usually get nervous after, before I sing, before I do a show. I usually get nervous after, and I tried to think, why is that? Why was that I would get nervous after? Well, it's because I was still worried what people thought about the show. And then I decided, I'll save John from having to censor this recording. I decided IDGAF, what people think afterwards, after the show. And boy, and you know what happened? I think I became a lot more fun to hang out with after my shows. Because there was no worry anymore. There was no concern. Well, I wonder what people did. I do well? Yes, I did well. I put on a good show. Was it perfect? I've been making music past 40 years. I'm still searching for the perfect performance. I've come close a couple times. But the thing is, I quit worrying at all what anybody thinks about my singing, about my performing. And it was really freeing. So, and I know now you can relate to that. So thank you. Mandy Anderson, our good friend. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Like both you and Ali, I probably, when I joined JLSM, I was always worried about what other people might think. The only time I wasn't was I was out with my son and we'd be in a soft play area and I'd be going round and round and round the whole place with him and everybody else would be looking at me and think, I don't care, I'm going round there. I was all right with that. But when I got on here and had to speak in front of people, I was terrified, and I kept thinking, not even what people might think, but what they could be thinking. It's always what's in your head, isn't it? Even if they don't say it afterwards. And I never forgot what you said then, which was what you just said, which was you couldn't pay bills with their opinions.
Yes.
And it stayed with me all that time. And Ego and Stuart saying that you always get nervous before you go on and everything. And it really did change it for me. And once I've spoken up on here more, and I started going through and not being so nervous. And so now the more time's gone on, the less I worry about what people think. And it is so much better because you're never going to please everybody. So somebody's always going to be against what you might be saying, aren't they? You can't please everybody. And going back to Prince, my sister is 2 years older than me, and she was well into Prince, and we shared a bedroom. So I used to have a look at her records. Those things. People wonder what they are.
Oh my goodness! 33 RPM vinyl records. Nice.
And she had one called Sign of the Times.
Yes.
And that one there's a brilliant song on there called The Cross.
Yes.
Which I absolutely love. So if anybody gets a chance to go and listen to The Cross, I thought, And I did go to a concert. I was at the back though, not at the front. I did go to a concert in the O2 Arena in London.
Uh,
About 90.
now I'm jealous.
It was really, really good. Everyone was up dancing. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So thank you for that. It's been really interesting finding out about him. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Mandy. That's good stuff. As time goes, I've heard an old saying said that when I was 20, it's like an old person, whether man or woman, I don't remember. An old person said, when I was 20, I used to worry what people thought about me. When I turned 40, I stopped worrying what people thought about me. And when I turned 60, I realized that people hadn't been thinking about me at all. Wonder how long it's going to take me to figure that out. Anyway, Kat, what's up, my friend?
Hey. I remember watching Graffiti Bridge as a kid. I loved the soundtrack to that, and I must have seen it probably a dozen times, in my teens. So that was great. But I loved your message today. I think this is something that we have to learn and relearn kind of through our lives, just at different points.
Yeah. By the way, here's another Prince pro tip. The soundtrack to Graffiti Bridge is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And there's another song on that soundtrack, which I think might be my favorite Prince song of all time. It may be certainly in the top 3. It's called Thieves in the Temple. Anyway, and there's another, the next album for his third and final film, Under the Graffiti Bridge, there's an absolutely heartbreaking tune on that album. I won't give you the context because you got to see the movie. The song is called Sometimes It Snows in April. So it's beautiful. Like, there's not a dry eye in the house after that. So anyway, this whole thing of not worrying so much what people think, not being more addicted. I've heard this said so many different ways. Being in terms of marketing and sales, enrolling people, seeking to enroll people, willing people into an opportunity. I need to learn to become more addicted to my own activity than to other people's response. I've heard it said that way. First time I heard it said that way was by a gentleman named Ray Higdon, who's the founder of a wonderful network marketing training organization called Rank Makers. There's a little shout out to Ray. Be more addicted, he says this all the time, be more addicted to your activity than to other people's response. What that does is take away the sting of the word no. Mm-hmm. Because I don't care what your response is. And there's another way of putting that is, it's not so cold-blooded like, I don't give a damn whether you buy from me or not. Well, of course I do. I've heard it said by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton, the authors of that wonderful sales book and business book, Go for No. And we've also heard it repeated by our very own Godzilla, Mr. John Lavinia. Yeah, non-attachment, the term. I care. Sure, I care. Just not too much. That's the difference. I care about providing you with the best available benefit to your life. I care about that. And if you choose not to take advantage, not to accept my offer, okay. Have a great day. And let's keep in touch. Because I want to get to know you. Because I want to have a conversation and maybe start to create a connection. As we were talking about last night on Networking Magic. Wait, you missed Networking Magic last night? Well, first of all, shame on you. And secondly, you can go back and check it out in the recordings at jlsm.com. Here's a shout out to the mastermind himself. So, yeah, I'm gonna I remembered, as I said, I remember exactly where I was when I heard that Prince had passed. And I went to see Purple Rain in the theaters many times. He did perform live. And you know that the concert scenes in Purple Rain were actually shot live with a live audience. This was not like staged. This was not like, a room full of movie extras. This was an actual live audience in the movie. Interesting. Probably, certainly, as close as I will ever get to seeing Prince perform live. I'm so jealous, Mandy. Come on.
Glenn,
Well, listen,
I'm embarrassed to say that I've never seen that movie.
Purple Rain?
Yep, never seen it.
I believe it, suffice it to say, I highly recommend it.
I will have to go and check it out.
Yes, and it's really interesting what Prince did film in his films. He created a character. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger created the Terminator. Sylvester Stallone created, Rambo, Rocky. Prince created the Kid and made him a legend. So there you go. Check it out. I would highly recommend. It's been such a great time chatting with all of us today. Remember, the hospitality suite's coming up right after this, and then we shall see you tomorrow for Fun Friday. I think our friend Adrian is taking up Fun Friday tomorrow. Is it Adrian or? I think it's Adrian. So, you know what? Come on around, check it out. See who it is. See who's here. We'll have some fun anyway. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go watch Purple Rain again. Make it a great day, my friends. And in the words of the late, legendary Prince, may you live to see the dawn. Bye for now.